Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It's Basil here, and this video is all about how the HTC One M8 stacks up against the HTC One M9. Two very similar looking phones, but they are also pretty different as well. And this video is all about how. Design-wise, look very similar. We're not going to argue with many of you haters out there who are like, HTC, you basically made the same phone twice. It does look very similar, but there are really nice nuanced differences. On the front, you can see 5-inch Full HD LCD 3 panels on both. You've also got front-facing cameras, boom sound speakers. On the right-hand side of both, you can see volume power buttons right there, or power button on the One M9 at least. The power button on the M8 is situated up at the top. It's all hidden nicely within the infrared blaster. Down at the base, both pack micro USB and 3.5mm jack connectors, while on the left-hand side, no buttons, micro SIM tray on the left. If we take a look at the front, boom sound speakers on both. You've got Dolby Surround tech inside the M9. This is a new partnership with HTC. We've also got an ultra pixel front-facing camera. This is lower resolution than the 5-megapixel front-facing camera on the M8, but it is an f2 aperture lens, and on top of that, the pixels are physically bigger, so produce really good low light performance, and I can definitely attest to that. Flipping the two around, and you can see you've got the backs, which ultimately look different because you don't have the duo camera on the M9, but what you do have is a larger 20-megapixel sensor. It's a Sony sensor. In our experience with it, short time we've had it, it's not great in low light. In good lighting, it will give you more detail that you can pinch in, and the digital zoom is better, and a lot of you did want better zoom. But having said that, the low light performance is actually, from our very early experience with this pre-production version, worse. Unfortunately, what you also get is a very, very good screen, like we said, SLCD 3, and that is no bad thing that HTC has decided to opt for Full HD as opposed to Quad HD at 5 inches. You really won't benefit massively from Quad HD, and Full HD will save you a little bit of battery life. You've got great viewing angles. It's a very, very bright screen, and it's still sharper than an iPhone at the end of the day. What you also have is a new version of Sense inside, Sense 7. It looks very, very similar. You've got home screens you can pinch out to get an overview of them. You can also see the applications tray is customizable across 3x5 or 3x4 or 4x5 in terms of the grid spacing. As you can see though, I've got a theme on my HTC One M9, and this is all part of Sense 7. Themes you can actually throw on here very, very easily. Just open up the themes application, and there are a load of preset themes, but you can also customize themes based on pictures that you've taken. You'll also see, if you're a real eagle eye, that I've actually added a button to my key buttons at the base, my nav buttons. One brings down the notifications so I don't have to reach to the top. That's something I did manually through the settings, because thankfully HTC has added that option in. What's more, it also has an improved blink feed, and on top of that, that blink feed kind of service will partner up with Yelp and throw suggestions for places to eat to your lock screen. It really is a themes element that excites us and entices us the most to move to Sense 7 from Sense 6. Key specs are Android, key user interface elements, Android Lollipop 2 to your notification tray, and those notifications run through to your lock screen. User interface is performed incredibly smoothly, and that's very unsurprising given the hardware inside here. But before we talk about the chipset, let's talk about the cameras. 20-megapixel sensor, 5-megapixel front-facing camera. The user interface is actually gorgeously enhanced on here because you've got this bokeh mode, and you can also download more modes when that'll be coming later down the line. You've also got stuff that we've known and loved from HTC for a while, such as the ability to shoot manual photos, so we can lock it to the nearest focal range, etc., for some really, really gorgeous macro performance right there. And if we do that again, get a little bit further, hasn't got quite as close focal range as a One M7 and M8, sorry. We can pinch in, and you can see, like we said, detail is very respectable if you do indeed have good lighting like we do now. We can jump out of manual mode. In fact, let's just take that picture and we can show you another highlight, and that's the ability to edit your videos, your photos, sorry, to high heaven. We can just turn this photo into a theme, which would be very cool, but we can also jump into editor. If we jump into effects, if it detects a face, we can do face fusion, where we combine two faces. This is loads of fun. We can also double expose our pictures. So that's a photo of the M9. If we grab a picture of our cat, for example,
we can double expose our M9 with our cat, and as you can see, two of our favorite things right there, our M9 and our cat, our M8 even. So you can see that's double exposure working, and we can actually flip what gets double exposed and what is in the foreground and background. Jumping out of double exposure, you can also do a whole load of other things such as prismatic. You can kind of throw a Zelda type shape on top of here. So for example, throw that on there, and you can zoom in so the element within the prism is actually in the foreground, and you can pinch and zoom to control it. Not massively useful. In fact, none of this is massively useful, but it is fun and does make for decent Instagram fodder if you are a little bit more creative. Ultimately though, what you end up with is a great front-facing camera and a decent rear-facing camera. Also, the dual LED flash is two-tone, so it will produce great white balance when using that flash. Other key specs: Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor versus an 801 processor. You also end up with 3 gig RAM versus 2 gig. The 64-bit processor may well see benefits in the future, but right now both of these devices will run any game that you throw at it. In addition to that though, the 810 processor does mean you'll more likely be able to use a Cat 6 LTE that EE has rolled out around the UK, and of course if you're in an area that supports Cat 9 LTE, the 810 processor should have you covered right there. As far as the battery life goes, it's also an improved capacity. Despite the same screen size, it's got a 2860 or 2840, sorry, milliamp cell. That's increased over the 2600 milliamp cell in the HTC One, so should see you through an extra couple of hours, provided that chipset isn't too draining. Hopefully you enjoyed our comparison between these two HTC flagships. If you did, click that like button, and if you like BTech in general, make sure you subscribe. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything that we're going to be bringing you from Mobile World Congress 2015. Thanks for watching.